Well, many businesses run successful operations only to find that their security has been compromised, cutting not only their profit margins but growth expectations and future economics. Facing security issues head-on is a conference currently running which gathers together specialists in the field. It's called the Intersec Exhibition, the 11th International Trade Fair for Fire, Police, Security and Commercial Security Equipment. One of the delegates is Venki Tashala, who is Vice President and Managing Director of UL Emerging Markets. Well, thanks very much for coming on Inside Business. Who is the Commercial Security Equipment Conference directed towards, do you think?
Commercial equipment market, Greg, is primarily looking at the safety and security of large buildings, large industrial establishments, as well as other installations and buildings of national importance. So these installations and environments require a high level, the level depending upon the context, high level of security to prevent a mishap happening. And if it happens, how do we respond to that? So what sort of systems do we have for that? So that's what the market is comprising.
What new products have drawn the most interest this year at the 11th International Trade Fair for Fire, Police, Security and Commercial Security Equipment?
What I see, I've had a look around the exhibition, Greg, and what I see is very high importance on security and signaling. So access controls, perimeter security, detection systems. There is clearly an emphasis towards these sort of products being installed in the built environment and the buildings.
Now, do we know how much this industry is growing or what its turnover is in this region?
The last 2 or 3 years, given the boom that the industry has witnessed, the construction industry has witnessed, obviously this segment has been growing at anything between 40 and 60%, depending upon what segment we are speaking about. So I think it's seen extremely robust, very high growth rates. So we really call it a boom. Now the question, if you have this question in mind as to where is that headed, my comment would be there would be some level of toning down of investments in this area, given the credit squeeze and the subprime crisis and whatnot elsewhere. Obviously, the money flowing into the fresh construction, new projects, will see a decline.
Now, Venki, is there a danger that self or company policing can do more damage than good?
The civil defense community in the region is very well established, very well geared, and are very well aware of the need to have high levels of performance, high levels of compliance in this area. So that's a very great thing. And I think they are very well geared towards ensuring that compliance is ensured, towards compliance by the builders and by the operators and other facilities management staff that's in place. So I think the large policy approach here is quite robust, and I think that's a very, very positive news for all of us.
Do you think companies take security issues seriously enough?
Greg, I think if I were to look at the emerging markets, if you can call it that, parts of Southeast Asia, parts of Middle East, India, this market, if you see, geography, Africa, if you see, I would say that the companies here, the authorities here, take this safety issue, security issue fairly seriously. I do agree that there are obviously areas where one can show higher levels of compliance, higher levels of standards, safety standards. But the good news is that the authorities are aware, they are ensuring compliance, the industries are getting more and more aware, they are taking the right steps. So I would say that the overall direction is one of a very positive outlook.
Now, what's the best way of assessing a company's security needs and requirements, do you think?
If you are in the service industry, tourism like Dubai is focused on, then you have high level of inhabitation in the buildings. or in the malls or the built environment. So that requires a level of approach which is more towards life safety. When you have a very expensive and very vital installation of national importance, let's say an oil processing facility, then obviously you take a different approach there. So it's a situation specific, and I think the requirements and the investments will have to be tailored to meet the specific risk that's being protected.
And just finally, do countries here in the region have different needs?
It depends upon the type of assets that we are trying to protect. Like we know that there are certain regions with very high petroleum assets. There are regions, there are cities with a very high people density. Or if it's a port, then obviously that requires a different level of protection. So depending upon the type of asset that we are trying to protect, I think the needs do vary across the region.
Well, Venki Tashalam, Vice President and Managing Director of UL Emerging Markets. That's all we have time for. Many thanks there for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that's it for this edition of Inside Business. You can contact the programme by writing to ib@city7tv.com. For now, from all of us on the programme, goodbye, and we'll see you again soon.